Passport, pasaporte, passport, Ju Safarin, Hujao. Why do we use these travel documents? Who gets them and why? Why can I travel to 186 countries and you can't?
The reason why they give you passports is because it's like an antiquated way to control your movements and to track you around the world, right?
It's like having an ID to get into a place, like a Sam's Club ID. It tells them that you're okay and you're part of the team. That's kind of what passports are for.
You can let me in. I'm safe. That kind of thing, right? That's basically what a passport is all about. Now, you might ask yourself, well, why do I need this, right? Well, what's the big deal? Well, it's just the way nation states control the movement of their citizens, right? And it's interesting because you might ask, well, what does it mean for me, right? For the person, for you? Well, what it means basically is that if you're like from a first world country, you get the special treatment, right? You're allowed. You're a more moral person, I guess. You're moral because you're born in the first world.
But if you're from a third world country, you get like a shit passport, where other countries, even other shithole countries, don't want to deal with you. They don't want you to enter their country. Although it depends, right? It depends on what country we're talking about, what continent. If you're from Africa, for example, you get a really bad passport. Or if you're from some war-torn country like Afghanistan, you get a bad passport.
People that are running away from desperate countries, a lot of times are considered like stateless people, and basically, well, it's weird if you're from like a third world country. Your biggest problem is dealing with authorities in those other countries. If you're trying to get to like a first world country, what's funny is that your passport is complete shit. And a lot of times when you see people running to other countries, they don't even have a passport, right? Or if they do, it's for like documentation that they're from some very shit country with high crime or war or whatever, right? So basically, it serves a purpose. It tells people that you're a citizen of the country, but it's really dependent. Its use is really dependent on where you're from and if you're part of the club. If you're part of the club, now what do I mean by the club? If you're part of the club, if you're part of the Five Eyes, right? If you're a European or American or Australian or Canadian, you can use your passport to basically go anywhere in the world, except for two main countries that are like, no, we don't want you around. And what are those two countries? Well, those two countries are China and Russia, right? And it's interesting because so let's say I wanted to go to, these are countries I can go to. Basically, they're countries that are either friends with my country or they're countries that are whores of my country. These kinds of countries are basically, they're controlled in some ways by by Washington, right? So basically, the reason why I can go to them is because they suck major dick, right? They suck major Washington cock. But let's say I want to go to China, right? I want to go to Russia. I want to go to these places. How do I get there? Well, you got to ask for a visa, right? Some countries, it doesn't mean that I can't go to these countries, right? It doesn't mean that I can't go to Russia or China. It just means that I got to go through a process. I got to go to their embassy, and I got to ask them. I got to say, hey, I'm not a criminal, and I'm not some sort of like spy, or I'm not some sort of gay activist that's trying to make them gay. I'm not some sort of gay activist trying to bring liberalism and anal butt sex, gay anal butt sex, promoting gay anal butt sex into their country. So they check all these things in me, and if I don't fit the what they don't want in their country, then they'll give me a visa. That visa can be for like 1 or 3 years or maybe 10 years. But yeah, so at the end of the day, it's like the countries I can go to, basically, the top countries I can go to are based on the world order, the liberal international world order, right? So those countries I can go in for free. I just show up and they're like, yeah, you can come in. You can come in, and they're like, yeah, okay, so you're an American. You have this. You believe in the LGBT. You're decked out in LGBT, and you want to teach us about how everybody must be gay at all ages. We understand your culture. We understand that your country has all this power over us, and can just basically drive us into poverty, like no problem, with no issue. Because of that, we'll let you in. We'll actually accommodate you. We'll let you put up resorts and other things, just for you. But these other countries, some of the countries are like, nah, we really don't want you here, right? We really don't. That's not really our thing, right? And it's so they don't want you. They're gonna make it hard for you, right? But you can still go. You just gotta pay. You gotta pay them money. You gotta pay them $100-something, right? And to be clear, if you're gay or whatever, you could probably still go to these places. But I'm sure if you're gonna like be an activist or something, they're gonna give you some trouble. Anyway, the point being is that this document can get you anywhere, right? It can get you to any place you want to. You just gotta be. You just gotta figure it out. Different places let you go into different things, and it doesn't mean actually that there's different ways. Not only do you get in through different means to these countries, but there's something called visa-free. Different regiments for different countries. So the countries that are friendly with the United States, the countries that are like, yeah, we want Americans, to basically just flood our country with cash and pay for everything, so that basically the whole country culturally becomes just like a whore, right? They become like a whore to America. Like basically countries that want to prostitute themselves to America. These countries, right? They have like a visa-free regiment, right? They're like, yeah, come in. We want you into the country. All you got to do is show up. I don't even think they give you a stamp. Sometimes they do give you a stamp. But some of these countries, I don't even think they give you a stamp. They say, yeah, just come right in. You can stay for like 90 days. Some are like, yeah, well, fuck, you guys have so much money and cash. You're so loaded. And we love that, America, democracy, whatever the fuck that means. Like, we believe in this ideal that you have. Or better yet, they don't actually believe in that ideal. They're just like, yeah, well, we know that means that you're gonna like flood the country with money and just like make everybody into like whores. And even our president, the president of that country is like, yeah, I want to be a whore too. So everybody wants to take money from us, take the money, and they want all the plastic shit that we consume. They want to be consumers too, right? Because they see that Americans have all this shit, so they want that too. And they see our movies and stuff and our pornography, and they're like, yeah, we want all that, right? That's all cool. So different countries, usually they say is like, you know what? The more common number for staying in our country will be 90 days. We'll let you stay for 90 days. That's like the common number, but some countries go full on out. Like they say, yeah, you can stay for a year. Like our country is so poor because we don't have resources, or because we just have nothing resources. In other words, we don't have anything you can come here and just exploit and take from our country and basically rape our country. So because of that, and because you don't really care so much about what we can give you, and we're just like a backwater, then basically we're like, yeah, you just please come. We're like desperate. Come, stay here for a whole year, basically, right? More than 90 days, for a whole year. You can get to see like what countries. Like I think it was like Albania, I think Gambia in Africa, and there's like different countries that are like, yeah, you just get the fuck over here. You can stay a whole year. We don't care, right? Now that's for the American passport, but I'm sure European passports, it's basically the same thing. But for an American passport, that's basically generally what they give you. Now, for other countries that are like, yeah, well, we really don't want you hanging around here because you're, who you are, we're not so keen on that, or we're trying to be better than you, like beat you at your game or something, right? Countries like China, Russia, these countries you can still go, but you gotta, like, Russia, like they want, with Russia, they want you to have like an agreement with the hotels, like a letter of invitation, and then when you're there, once you get your visa, which would probably be for like 30 days or something, and you're there in Russia, they want you to like tell the police constantly, hey, I'm here. I'm not teaching your people about gay blood sex. I'm not teaching them about Hollywood movies. I'm not teaching them any of that degenerate stuff that, us Americans do, which we actually kind of do. That is one part of it. The other part is like the same thing as China, but like China is more, unlike Russia, China's more like money hungry, right? China's like, they're kind of like the picky whore, right? Which is not like how Russia is. And so China even has like this TMVOV. It's called visa by transit or something like that, I think. And you go to China, you can stay in a few cities for like almost a week, right? Visa free, but you have to like fly to a different country. So this is an example, right? So what you do is you go from the United States, you fly all the way to Japan, and then from Japan you get a ticket and you go to China, and then when you're in China, you spend like less than a week, and then you got to fly to like a third country, and that third country can be anywhere but Japan. It can be Hong Kong or China. Yeah, like even though for this purposes, for the Chinese, Hong Kong and China are not considered China. Obviously, they do consider Hong Kong and China, Hong Kong and Taiwan part of China. So yeah, and then from there you can go back to the United States. You can even go back and forth doing that, but if you look at the airlines, you're going to spend a pretty penny, right? You're going to spend a lot of money on this type of thing, but this is something they have, right? But mostly because they want people to visit these big cities and see how they're actually very advanced, and that was the idea, right? And bring more of that consumerist and the more jobs and everything else to their country, and tell everybody how China's great, even though China's a third world shithole that they try to hide. It's a way for them to hide and just display their, show face, basically. This is what China does, is show face. So Russia has something very similar, I think, in around St. Petersburg. Russians love to show off St. Petersburg to the Europeans so that they dump money into these big cities. So they have something similar with the cruise ships, I think, and I think China has cruise ships as well that they allow to stay. But anyway, the point being with all this shit is that, where you can go depends on having a passport. You can travel the world, yes, but it really is, if we live in a liberal international world, right? So your passport really is only capable, the more you have more access, more freedom with a Western passport. That's just how it is, right? Even for me as an American, now I get visa-free access to all these countries that are whoring themselves out to America, but I also get access to America's limited empire, right? I can go to not visa-free, I don't even need a passport to go to places like Puerto Rico or Guam or any of these other places. They're Mariana Islands, right? So this is what a passport is, right? Basically a passport is just like a membership card, right? It's like to tell everybody, hey, I'm an American, and I get all this access, right, to things, right? So this is what a passport is.